Hi, Cactus Jack here with Country Conversations. And the last couple of years, I've had a couple of chances to talk to Richard Sterban, once just as we were coming out of the pandemic, and again just about 4 weeks ago. And we're going to find out what's been going on with him since the pandemic. We're just going to catch up with Richard Sterban coming up on Country Conversations with Cactus Jack. Good morning, Willie Radio. It's Cactus Jack. What can I do for you?
Yeah, Jack, this is Richard Sterban speaking with the Oak Ridge Boys.
What an honor to talk to you.
And I apologize. I'm a few minutes late with this call, but Sandy Brokaw has me booked doing a lot of interviews today, and I'm running behind. Sometimes I get a little long-winded and talk too much, so but I hope the timing is okay.
I have got all day, so whatever time you got, I'll be tickled to death to have a bit of it. Cactus Jack, a music legend. You're a legend in a lot of ways. Sandy sent me a copy of your autobiography, and I read all of it up to about the middle of the Bush presidency part, and I am just in awe. I knew a lot about you from being a radio man. I didn't know anything. So where would you like to start telling us? You want to start with the new album project?
That's the thing that we're probably the most excited about right now, and we can start with that. As everyone knows, we've come through a very difficult year in this country. Not just the Oak Ridge Boys, but the whole music business has basically been shut down. But people in just about every walk of life have been affected by this thing. However, one of the good things that we were able to do during this off time is we were able to go into the recording studio and work with our producer, Dave Cobb, on a new project. Now, if anyone knows anything about the music scene here in Nashville, Dave Cobb is very hot. He's very much in demand. He does all the Chris Stapleton stuff and several of the younger artists that are happening right now in country music. But he's produced 4 albums now on the Oak Ridge Boys, including our latest project called Front Porch Singin', which comes out June the 11th. And as the title implies, Dave Cobb working together with the Oak Ridge Boys, we tried to capture that feeling of 4 guys just gathering on a front porch, just in a very informal way, just harmonizing together, and that's what we did. Most of the music, there's very little instrumentation. It's mostly the 4 voices out there, singing that 4-part harmony that is the Oak Ridge Boys. Dave Cobb was able to capture that. There's a nice mixture, a nice balance of old music, familiar songs, some great gospel songs, a few old gospel songs that we grew up singing, as kids in church and in Sunday school. But there's also some brand new country songs as well. So there's a nice mixture, there's a nice balance, and and we're happy with the way it turned out. I think the most important thing about the album is that most of the music, if not all of it, is very inspirational in nature. It contains music that is very inspiring. It contains music that's very healing. It contains messages that I think we need to hear in this day and age.
Amen.
So we're happy with the way it turned out. And as I said, it's called Front Porch Singin', not singing with a G, singing with an N.
There you go.
And it'll be available next week.
All right. Well, it's interesting that you talk about just the voices. A few weeks ago, I actually talked with Tim Faust from Home Free, and he's kind of in awe of you. He talked a lot about how cool it was to get to work with you, but that was the flavor of the acapella, was that everybody really was happy with that. And I like that style of music, and I'm a quartet nut. I noticed in your autobiography you mentioned several people who you can name if you want to, who said everybody wants to be a bass singer, and I do too. I'm not, but I wish I was.
Well, just a quick story about this new album, and to give you an idea of what it kind of goes with what you're talking about there. One day we walked into the studio, and Dave Cobb said, "Fellas, if you guys were on the bus and you were getting ready for a show, what would you sing to kind of like warm up? It doesn't have to be a hit or something that you've recorded, but what would you sing in a very informal way on the bus?" Immediately, Dwayne, our lead singer, he started singing that old spiritual, Swing Down, Sweet Chariot.
Yes, sir.
The 4 of us, the rest of us joined in and started singing it. Dave Cobb heard that. He said, "That's it." He said, "Get to the microphones right now." And without a band, we just had a bass player there that played, to kind of keep us together and keep us on pitch. But we recorded that old spiritual, just the four Oak Ridge Boys. I don't think we were in the studio an hour, and it was a done deal. So I think that's amazing. An example of how we recorded some of the songs on this project. It's very impromptu, very informal, and it features the four voices out there.
That is just amazing. I'm talked to everybody about the autobiography. It's been out for a few years, but I assume it's still available on Amazon. We'd like you to give us the title of that and how we can pick that up, because that is a very inspiring read.
Well, for about 2 years prior to joining the Oak Ridge Boys, I sang in a group called J.D. Sumner and the Stamps Quartet. And if anybody knows anything about gospel music, you know J.D. Sumner is the world's lowest. He was the world's lowest bass singer.
We mention him every time something is played here with his voice on it at this station. We are fans of J.D. And
he is in the Guinness Book of World Records as the world's lowest bass singer. But he called me up. He personally did not call me. His son-in-law, Eddie, and I called me up and said J.D. wanted to retire or get off the road, not retire, but get off the road and devote his time to his publishing companies and his talent agency and things he had, and he wanted to hire a young bass singer to take his place. So he hired me, and it involved me moving to Nashville. And I was with J.D. and the Stamps maybe 6 months, and J.D. got a phone call from Elvis. Elvis needed a new backup group. The group that he was using, the Imperials, you may be familiar with them, but
yes.
They had a conflict, and so Elvis wanted to hire a new backup group. So he hired J.D. and the Stamps. And so here I was as a young man, just kind of in the right place at the right time. And here I was singing with the king of rock and roll,
Yes, sir.
Back then, Elvis was the biggest star in the world. His tour was the biggest tour in the music business. And to be a part of it was very, very exciting.
I would say Elvis was arguably the biggest star that has lived so far in my lifetime, anyway.
You're probably right. But back then, he was huge, and to be a part of that tour was very exciting, and I got some great memories. I had some great memories of the times I spent with Elvis. I got to know him just a little bit, and it was a great time, So, and I write about that in my book. It's called I love the title. It's called From Elvis to Elvira is what I'm saying. I don't want to get the horse before the cart, or the cart before the horse, whatever.
Yeah, whoever reads it is going to be inspired with the title, but it actually started before Elvis. You talk about your struggles when all of us in radio thought you guys were just on top of the world, and how you were struggling just to get from one show to another, and it's really inspiring to see people that stick to it and have focus on a goal, and I'm very impressed. I'm kind of in awe of you today.
Well, thank you so much, sir, and thank you for saying that.
Well, God bless you.
I was going to say, if you're an Elvis fan, there's great Elvis stories in the book. If you're an Oak Ridge Boys fan, there's great Oak Ridge Boys stories, and it's my personal story. You get to know me just a little bit better. So it's called From Elvis to Elvira. If you're interested, just go to oakridgeboys.com, and there's a link that'll tell you how you can get it.
Well, I would like to jump in right here and point out that I've been looking at your website. I've been doing research on this ever since Sandy contacted me, and I've just, I've absorbed everything I could. And again, I don't know where to start, but I did notice that you're going to be right here in Willie listening area. We get right into Paris, Tennessee like a local, and you're going to be here June 17th, which is a week and a half. Yeah. It'll be 2 weeks from yesterday. You'll be here in Paris, Tennessee. So the Oak Ridge Boys in Paris, in town, if you want to go by and see what the fuss is all about. Y'all are not strangers to this part of the country anyway. I know you've been to the Carson Center numerous times, and I'm just in awe to know so much more about you than I ever knew before. But the new album, where can we get that? It's being released June 11th. Is it going to be all electronically, or do you have hard copies? What do you have on that?
There'll be several ways to get it. You can download it everywhere you can download music. You can download it off of YouTube. It is actually going to be available, believe it or not, in vinyl, which is a lot of people are interested in vinyl.
Isn't that great?
and it will be available in vinyl, and it'll be available, believe it or not, in Cracker Barrel restaurants. So you can go there as well, or you can, once again, go to oakridgeboys.com, and you can, it'll tell you how to do it. You might be able to even get an autographed copy because we've been autographing a lot of them, and there's some autographed copies available as well.
Are you touring a lot? Limited dates? I only had limited dates on the webpage, but I didn't know with COVID coming out, are you going to go back to a heavy tour schedule, or are you just doing what they call you for?
Well, things are about to change, Bob. So far this year, we've been very limited, as you can imagine. We've just done a handful of dates here and there. But we had a great experience 2 weeks ago. As you probably know, we're members of the Grand Ole Opry. And 2 weeks ago, we played the Opry for the very first time to a full house in over a year.
Wow.
So that was a great experience. So that gave us a lot of courage to press forward, and now our schedule is beginning to fill up. I think we were seeing light at the end of the tunnel now. Until the end of the year, we're going to be very, very busy. One of the things we have missed through this pandemic is being able to do what we do, to be able to perform our music live to our fans and to our audiences. We have missed that. And I think more so than that, we've missed the response, the feedback that we get from fans as well. So that is about to change, and we're excited about those prospects. So, go to oakridgeboys.com and check out our schedule. We may be coming close to you here.
And then we will edit down the entire length of this, put it on. So
okay.
We'll promote this as much as we can in any way that we can. So if that's okay with you, that's the plan here.
That sounds good to me, sure.
All right, the Oak Ridge Boys, the brand new album, Front Porch Singin', no G on there. And Richard Sterban, what are your thoughts? What have I missed that you'd like to tell everybody?
Well, just that, we've all had a difficult year, not just the Oak Ridge Boys, the whole music business. A lot of people in every walk of life everyone has been affected by this pandemic. But now we're seeing things beginning to change. And it looks like we're going to see the end of this thing. And that makes the Oak Ridge Boys feel very good. We're now going to get a chance to do what we love doing, and that's performing our music live on stage to our fans and to our audiences. We're looking forward to coming your way, and we're excited about the prospects. So thank good Lord, we've come through most of this in a pretty good way. We're all four Oak Ridge Boys, we're still in good health, and we're anxious to get out there and do it. So I can speak for all four of the Oak Ridge Boys and tell you we're excited about the prospects of coming your way. So as I said a few minutes ago, check our schedule. If you see that we're coming your way, come on out and see the Oak Ridge Boys, because I can promise you, you're going to see four guys that are ready to do what we feel like we've been called in life to do, and that's sing our music and help people with our music.
Richard Sterban, we're tickled to death you came on with us today. Thank you for your time. Congratulations on the new album and the 40th anniversary of Elvira. I really appreciate it, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
God bless you.
That was the way it was in June of 2021, just coming out of the pandemic. Here we are just about exactly 2.5 years later, and the Oak Ridge Boys have had some earth-shattering announcements in the last couple of weeks. Well, actually, they announced their farewell tour back in the fall, and they're still touring. We'll find out about that from Richard. Joe Bonsall of the Oaks has announced his retirement due to a medical condition. That happened after I had talked with Richard, so this news is about 3 or 4 weeks old. But if you listen, we're going to get a follow-up soon with Richard Sterban of the Oak Ridge Boys. Country Conversations with Cactus Jack.
Yeah, Cactus, this is Richard Sterban.
Richard, it's been 3 years, I guess, since you came to our part of the country here. I think you went to Paris, Tennessee, and we talked about what you were doing on that day.
Yeah, well, I do remember that. So thank you once again for giving me a chance to talk to you and to your fine listeners.
You're coming here a couple hours from home now, right?
We are now, as you probably know, on our farewell tour. And so we're celebrating, a great career that we've been able to have over all these years. And one thing we have not announced, however, is when the farewell tour will end, because we don't know that ourselves. But it is our farewell tour, and it also is our Christmas show that we're bringing to town. So it's going to be a great night of celebration. You're also going to hear some Oak Ridge Boys hits. You're going to hear Elvira for sure. You're going to hear me do Giddy Up, Oom Papa, Mau Mau. That will definitely happen. And just about every aspect of Christmas. You know, Santa Claus comes and visits in the middle of the show. He goes out into the audience and interacts with the kids. You know, it's just a great family show. And we have a segment where we sit in front of the fireplace and talk about childhood Christmas memories and what Christmas means to us individually. It gives the audience a chance to get to know the four Oak Ridge Boys a little bit. And then, of course, we always end the show with the most important part, and that is the birth of Jesus, and how important that is in our day and age that we live today. It's a great family show from the beginning to the end, so we want to encourage families, come on out, bring your kids.
And you're about to wrap up the tour for this fall, but it's not over, as you said.
Do you know when you come back?
Well, that's a good question. You know, what we want to do, and our main purpose with doing the farewell tour, is that we want to travel to as many places as we possibly can around this country and basically say thank you. Thank you to our fans and to people like yourselves who have made the Oak Ridge Boys career so possible. You know, we've had a great career. We've been very blessed, very fortunate. So we want to say thank you. That's going to take us a little time. So we don't know how long that'll take. So we're not going away just yet. We're not retiring, but we are going to slow down some. You know, we're not kids any longer. And we hope we can get around, you know, and maybe come, you know, I haven't thought about it, but maybe we can book Paducah back again next year. We'll see what happens.
Okay, Richard Sterban and the Oak Ridge Boys, Dwayne Allen, Joe Bonsall, William Lee Golden, and Richard Sterban singing Down Low, all come to the Carson Center.
I'm speaking for all the Oak Ridge Boys, and we're excited about coming your way. We plan to have a great night, so come on out and celebrate together with us.
I went down to Paris, Tennessee when they were there a couple of years ago, and it was just an awesome show. I was having more trouble walking through the crowd than these guys were hopping all over the stage. They were really putting on an energetic show in Paris, Tennessee on one of the hottest days of the year.
You know, we have played the Carson Center on several occasions in the past, and we know it's a great venue. It's a great place to see a concert. There's not a bad seat in the house.
And you can also watch Country Conversations with Cactus Jack. We'll have some form of this so you can see what we talked to Richard Sterban about.
Well, thank you, Cactus Jack. And, you know, I told you we wanted to travel around the country and thank as many people as possible for allowing us to have a great career. You are one of those people. You have promoted the Oak Ridge Boys over the years. You played our records. So I can speak for all the guys, and I can tell you thank you very much, my kind friend.
The first Oak Ridge Boys song I ever played on the radio was my second favorite, The Baptism of Jesse Taylor. And then the next one was my absolute favorite is Rhythm Guitar. So that's the two that I like the best. You were on both of those, correct?
You're absolutely correct about that. That goes back a ways. So you obviously go back quite a ways with the Oak Ridge Boys. Almost as long as us, not quite.
Well, I've always been a fan. Thank you for spending some time with us today. And maybe we can do a follow-up later. Would that work for you?
We can arrange that, certainly, yes.
Richard Sterban of the Oak Ridge Boys. I'm going to hand the show back now, and we'll get more on Willie 102.
Thank you, Cactus Jack.
So what's in store for the Oaks for the future? Well, as Richard said, they haven't announced a retirement date anytime soon. They've announced their farewell tour. They do say they're going to slow down. They also say they may be back to Paducah. You can keep an eye on the Oaks website, also Richard Sterban's website, and find out the latest details. If you've never had a chance to see an Oak Ridge Boys concert, I highly recommend you take the time and do so before the farewell tour is over. Country Conversations, thanks for hanging out with Cactus Jack.